Alright, hello everyone. This is the final Battleground for this fourth Forbidden Battleground, and this is going to be a Mythical Realm challenge, and I'm going to need to break a lot of rules I typically set for myself here, because there are literally only 3 SR and below or freebie characters within the Mythical Realm, and I'm going to need to fill out the other 2 with SR characters. Now, one of them is Bolzel, which I don't think is really that big a deal because Bolzo was a free character for a lot of people, and Bolzo is a character that I think a lot of players should be getting for PvE regardless. And the other one I chose here is Yulia. Yulia is a very powerful PvE character. She gets rerun very often on the 4th week banners. She's the only one out of that I think is mythical. So I feel like out of the mythical choices, I feel like she's the one that makes the most sense. I guess Juggler would also be a mythical character that gets rerun very often. But obviously, like Juggler wouldn't really have done anything here. If I went with Juggler, I wouldn't really have any DPS to speak of here. So basically, this entire strategy is going to revolve around Yulia killing stuff. As you can see, on the first turn, what I did was that I actually baited the spider to cast an AoE on the rest of the group, not including Yulia, just so that she could keep her HP up and not get all kinds of nasty debuffs. That's probably the most annoying part of this map, is that there is a bit of quite a bit of RNG to it. However, the enemies are split between, there's a bunch of demons, there's a couple infantry, and there's some leviathans and that catapult. So I'm putting unicorns on Yulia, which pretty much hits all the necessary class advantages I want here. So the first enemy she killed on the first turn was a demon with infantry soldiers out front, so it made sense to bring unicorns in front of Yulia so that the unicorns would kill the infantry and then Yulia would kill the skeleton. If Yulia was using any other soldier, I don't believe she would have been able to one-shot that skeleton the way she did. And then after that, it's just a matter of using Bolzel to debuff everybody, and then having Yulia finish them off. Now, I might get a clock once in a while on Bolzel here, because I do have clock enchant on him, but I am not going to be using those clocks. So because there's no, obviously there's no SR mythical buff, so I'm going to need to rely on Sophia here to be giving out the attack buff here. And I do get a clock on Bolzel here, and like I said, I'm not going to be using it. So annoyingly, Sophia did get silenced here, but it's not a huge deal. Yulia's 3C is pretty helpful here. If you get any debuffs that are just too annoying to deal with, you can use her 3C to make up for that. So alternatively, you can of course just equip a Holy Ring on Yulia so that she doesn't get silenced. So I'm actually using Sophia to bait the catapult hit here for a number of reasons. The catapult of course would prioritize hitting Yulia because she's a melee range unit, and the AI with ranged units tends to prioritize melee units. Sophia of course had to be at 100% life to survive that, but since the catapult attacked last turn, he's not going to have as much attack range this turn, so it frees me up to move around a little bit more freely. So I do have a Holy Ring on Almeida, pretty much for the sole purpose of making sure I don't get silenced. Because a unlucky silence is enough to end a run, so that's always a real pain in the ass. Alright, more debuffs coming my way. Once again, I used the 3C from Yulia to heal back up and move debuffs. Makes things a lot simpler. Of course, this demon, so of course since Almeida is a holy class and I have Force Priest in front, she's actually doing a decent amount of damage to that demon. Just casting Mass Heal on Yulia, put the buff back up. And here the Catapult actually takes one of Yulia's lives away. I mean, the Catapult is one of the most annoying parts of this map, because just like the Catapult you usually run into in Forbidden Battleground, always dispels like 4 buffs every time you hit it. Every time it hits you, rather. But thankfully, it once it attacks, the increased attack range goes away for a turn, so I'll just buy my time. What's left is taking care of this Catapult. Shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, so the Mythical Realm clear, you know, like I said, it's, you know, I don't really have a lot of options here. So it's not as interesting of a clear as I think I could usually do. Alright, so one last attack. This guy should be over with. Buff up Yulia here. Alright, that's it for the Mythical clear. So next let's do the Legion of Glory clear. So I think Legion of Glory really needs no introduction for PvE stuff. You know, they're the very basic PvE team that kind of applies to that everybody will have built, I think, because you kind of start off the game with Matthew Almeida and Grenier, and they've gotten a decent number of upgrades over time that have kept them relevant, at least for PvE content. But the true MVP here is definitely Chris. These demons are a real pain in the ass, but Chris kills them very, very easily. They have really, really high stats, but Chris doesn't care about any of that. And the nice thing is that Chris's exclusive is actually very useful here. It's very important that I have her attack certain undead or certain demons and then be able to run out of range of certain targets. Otherwise, I'm going to be able to take a lot of hits that I really don't want to take otherwise. Narm, of course, is also very important here. These Leviathans have Divine Guard. And obviously I don't... obviously I want to kill the stuff around them before the Leviathans. The Leviathans really are not that big of a threat. However, the Catapult is obviously very annoying because it will constantly remove my buffs. But the biggest threat, as usual, are those goddamn spiders and how they do so many debuffs and just cause general havoc. The Catapult is especially a big threat to Matthew, of course, because Matthew is a flyer here. So the spiders create terrain that reduce mobility, so that's why I brought Overlord Badge on Grenier. I needed to make sure he can't get Moby down. And Now, alternatively, I could have brought like some used Sage's Hat or something, but I tried that a little bit, and it's a little bit too hard to keep consistent. So it's a lot easier to just use Overlord that and not have to worry about it. So they're gonna start chasing me down, and it's obviously very dangerous. But at the very least, I can take care of this spider with Chris first. I have to make sure to stay out of range of the other spider if I can. So the Leviathan actually made its own guard go down, the one on the left, because they have Tidal Surge plus Divine Guard. So sometimes what they do is that they actually cast Divine Guard on the first turn, and then they'll cast Tidal Surge on the next turn, and waste both turns of their Divine Guard. And sometimes they'll have one turn of Divine Guard left, and then they'll use Tidal Surge and then Divine Guard, which just makes it very annoying. But of course, all that can be dealt with by having Narm lock stuff down. So on this turn, I'm going to want to try to get rid of both the Spider and the Cyclops. So I need to start by locking down the Leviathan. Now if you can take out the Cyclops. Since the Leviathan's locked down, Chris should have no issue whatsoever getting rid of the spider. And once the spiders are gone, the fight becomes very straightforward. The spiders are usually the biggest threat here because they have very high movement, they have AoEs that could shoot 3 range, and they do magic damage, which is very dangerous to Grineer, of course. The Cyclopses are also dangerous to Grineer, obviously. But since they only move 3 blocks, it's very easy to lock them down somehow, or just kill them before they can do anything. It was very hard to keep the spiders out of Grineer's range because they have strong enough to nearly one-shot him. That's why I brought Crystal Boulders on Grineer here, because my Grineer has high enough defense and is tanky enough to take the catapult hits without needing to bring something more physically tanky, like Phalanx or something. But he is not quite. If he can't tank magic at all, despite what his 3C has allowed him to do. So the annoying thing is that I need to get into a position where I can attack the Cyclops after locking down the Leviathan, but I also want to make sure I am far enough away or I'm not overextending my team, because that's just too risky of a thing to do, because when you're not entirely sure that whether or not you can actually kill something. And of course it's to my benefit to just pop up here. And have Matthew have Air Slash up the next turn. Just have to lock down the Leviathan again. Matthew and Chris can try to take out the Cyclops. Alright. Now that the Cyclops is out of the way, the rest of the fight should be very simple and easy to get through. Grineer, of course, isn't threatened at all by the catapult. And the Leviathan can just be locked down forever by Narm. If I wanted to, Narm could just kill it by herself. Obviously, I want to try to speed this along if I can. One of the worst parts of that catapult is the fact that he dispels all your buffs, and one of the weakest parts of Grenier's 3C is the fact that it has the buffs on it are all dispellable. His guard is dispellable, his power stab is dispellable, the terrain effect is dispellable. So it's a huge problem with how they design Grenier's 3C. With that out of the way, I guess we can move on to the final challenge of this Forbidden Battleground, which is the 29,000 power challenge. So this one was pretty tough to do. I brought a lot of the usual suspects here. I, of course, am still using Chris. I want to have Chris to be able to take these guys out easily. I also brought Narm because, as you saw before, Narm knocking down the Leviathans was pretty key to being able to hit all the other units adequately. Instead of Grenier as a tank, I instead did Vargas. Obviously, Vargas has no magic guard, but it doesn't matter here because there's only 2 magic enemies here. They're both spiders, so they're not going to target Chris, who is Holy class. They're not going to target Narn, who's a range class. So the only person they'll target is Vargas. So I don't even need Magic Guard here. Now, of course, the issue is always not being able to get a faction buff in a disparate team like this, but obviously Sophia is always here to help out with that. So I actually, speaking of Sophia, so I actually have 3 2C skills on her. I did not bring the basic heal this time because I wanted to have mass resist. This was very important because I wanted to prevent getting buff blocked, either by random debuffs from the black hole, but also because the spiders have decay. So that's obviously going to make things, that would make things a lot more difficult because obviously zealots are become total garbage when you don't have any buffs. So it's important to have mass resist up so I can make sure they can keep getting the buffs. And I actually also brought level tier 2 troops on Sophia. I am equipping Inquisitors on Sophia. And that's to make sure I can hit the 29,000 power threshold for this challenge. Because otherwise I would be at like 29,500 or something. And, you know, aside from not having one unit, that's obviously the other easy way to make sure your power level is correct for this challenge. Alright, so the annoying thing here is that the spider is staying in place and I can't reach it. So I'm gonna have to just take out this Cyclops first. And as you see, I did bring Vargas on his infantry class again. They do really like their infantry enemies around here, so bringing Lancer Vargas is a no-go there. Vargas losing his first life here. Nice thing is that these Leviathans waste so much of their time just casting their guard skill over and over. As you can see, Vargas is so bad at taking magic that AoE actually killed him even after he revived. Now, the nice thing here is that now both these spiders are in range, and Chris's exclusive cooldown has ended. I'm going to be able to use Chris to take out these 2 spiders here. So first I use Battlecry from Vargas, weaken that spider. Use Chris's 3C, which came back up thanks to Rewind. Take out the healthier spider, and finish off the weakened spider. Alright. These first few turns are always the hardest because there's just so many enemies coming down on you. They always threaten to overwhelm you. And if Vargas didn't have like those 2-3 revives that they gave him with this 3C, this would be way more annoying. I'm not even sure it would be possible actually with SR characters. And after the spiders are out of the way, it's pretty much smooth sailing. Just need to take care of the leftover enemies. And of course, the other nice thing is that Vargas's 3C has a guard range buff that is undispellable. So I don't even need to worry about the catapult dispelling Vargas's guard range or anything like that. This right here kind of shows just why these Leviathans are not a threat at all. They waste so many of their turns just running back and forth and casting their guard skill over and over. So, like it was with Grenier, I still need to dance around the Cyclops a bit. I don't want to engage it for no real reason. Even with Vargas on infantry class, these guys still can kill him pretty easily. Obviously because of their ability, which the soldier ability, which does increases their attack when they don't have higher percent HP, which is usually going to be the case because I really don't have that much healing here. So just killing some of the soldiers on the Cyclops here. That's one of those game basics you need to remember, is that enemies without soldiers obviously do very little damage. And unlike in the original Wikigrisser games, the lower your hero HP, you don't do less damage the lower your hero HP is. You always do 100% damage from your hero, no matter what HP percent you're at. Unless you die before you launch the attack, that's the only exception. So in situations like this, it's better to, sometimes it's better to, instead of killing a target, is to just shave the soldiers off all the targets. And they won't really do that much to you. Alright. Easy stuff. I think the rest of this map is going to be pretty predictable here, so that's going to be it for the 4th Forbidden Battleground here. So thanks for watching, everyone. Hopefully you guys found these videos useful. If you guys have any suggestions for how I might handle these sort of videos in the future, just let me know. I'll see you guys next time.